The basement door creaked open just as Grant leaned in, his lips brushing against Ben's in a moment that felt both inevitable and terrifying. What started as a whispered confession during their late-night video game marathon exploded into a kiss that neither could pull away from, their hearts pounding in sync for the first time. But as footsteps thundered down the stairs, Grant's father burst in, his face twisting from confusion to rage, forever altering the fragile world they'd built in secret. Grant Thompson had always been the golden boy of Willow Creek, a small suburb outside Chicago where everyone knew everyone's business. At 18, he was captain of the soccer team, straight-A student, and the son of a respected pastor who preached family values every Sunday. Ben Ramirez, his best friend since kindergarten, was the quiet counterpart, artistic, introspective, with a single mom who worked double shifts at the local diner. They shared everything: lunches, secrets, even pencils during exams. But lately, their bond had deepened into something unspoken, a pull that made Grant's stomach flip whenever Ben smiled that lopsided grin. That night in the basement, surrounded by old board games and flickering console lights, Ben had finally voiced it. "Grant, I think I'm, into guys. And maybe, into you." The words hung heavy, but Grant didn't recoil. Instead, he felt a rush of relief, like a dam breaking. He'd been wrestling with the same thoughts for months, burying them under layers of denial and prayer. The kiss was electric, a confirmation of what they'd both feared and craved, until Reverend Thompson's interruption. "What the hell is this?" his father bellowed, yanking Grant away by the collar. Ben scrambled back, his face pale as a ghost. The room spun as accusations flew. Sin, disgrace, confusion. Grant's mother appeared moments later, her eyes wide with shock, clutching her rosary like a lifeline. Ben fled up the stairs, muttering apologies, leaving Grant to face the storm alone. The next morning, the house was a war zone. Breakfast was silent except for the clink of forks. Reverend Thompson finally spoke, his voice low and measured. "This ends now, Grantander. You're not that way. It's a phase influenced by that boy. You won't see him again." Grant's heart sank. Ben wasn't just a friend. He was the one person who saw through Grant's perfect facade to the scared kid underneath. But defying his father meant risking everything: his family's approval, his spot on the team, maybe even his future at the state university. At school, whispers had already started. Willow Creek High was a breeding ground for gossip, and someone must have overheard the commotion. Grant avoided Ben's locker, ignoring the texts lighting up his phone. "We need to talk, please." During lunch, he sat with his teammates, forcing laughs at their crude jokes about the queer kid in art class. It stung, but he pushed it down, telling himself it was for the best. By afternoon, Ben cornered him in the empty gym. "What happened last night? It wasn't a mistake, was it?" Ben's eyes searched Grant's, pleading for honesty. Grant hesitated, glancing at the door. "I don't know, man. My dad's flipping out. He thinks you're a bad influence." The words tasted like betrayal, but fear gripped him tighter than truth. Ben's face crumpled. "So that's it? You're just gonna pretend it didn't happen?" Grant shrugged, his voice cracking. "Maybe we should. For now." That decision haunted Grant through the week. Nights were sleepless, filled with visions of Ben's hurt expression. His father ramped up the pressure, enrolling him in youth group sessions focused on moral integrity. The pastor's sermons took on a sharper edge, railing against modern temptations that threatened the soul. Grant nodded along, but inside, doubt festered. Was loving Ben really a sin? Or was the real wrong in hiding who he was? Meanwhile, Ben threw himself into his art, sketching portraits that captured the pain he couldn't voice. His mom noticed the change, asking gently over dinner, "Is everything okay with Grant?" Ben shook his head, tears welling. "I think I ruined everything." She hugged him, whispering, "Love isn't ruin, Mijo, but sometimes it hurts like hell." As days turned to weeks, the distance between them grew. Grant joined more church activities, hoping to drown out the longing. But one evening, during a community barbecue, their paths crossed again. Ben was there with his mom, helping serve food, Their eyes met across the crowd, and Grant felt that familiar pull. He excused himself from his family and approached, heart racing. "Hey," he said softly. Ben looked up, guarded. "Hey." They slipped away to a quiet corner of the park.
"I'm sorry," Grant blurted.
I freaked out, but I can't stop thinking about you. Ben sighed, running a hand through his hair. Me too. But your dad. Forget him for a second. What do we do? Grant's voice was urgent, desperate for a plan.
Ben leaned closer.
We figure it out together. But no more hiding from each other. They didn't kiss again. Not there, not yet. But the promise hung between them, a fragile thread in a tightening noose. Little did they know, Grant's younger sister, Mia, had followed them. At 14, she was curious and impressionable, idolizing her big brother. Seeing them so close, whispering intently, planted seeds of suspicion. That night, she confided in her best friend over text, not realizing how quickly words could spread in Willow Creek. The rumor mill churned, and by Monday, the school buzzed with speculation. Grant and Ben? No way, Thompson's too straight-laced. But doubt crept in, and stares followed them in the halls. Grant felt the walls closing in, his perfect life cracking at the seams. In a moment of panic, he made his first real choice. During gym class, when a teammate joked about Ben, Grant laughed along, adding, "Yeah, he's always been a bit off." The words were a knife, twisting in his own gut. Ben overheard, his face draining of color. He turned and walked away, shoulders slumped. That evening, Grant sat in his room, staring at the ceiling. The price of conformity was steep, losing Ben, losing himself. But the alternative terrified him more. How long could he keep this up before everything shattered? Ben slammed his sketchbook shut, the thud echoing in his empty room. The betrayal in the gym stung worse than any punch. Grant's laugh, joining the chorus of mockery, confirmed his worst fears. He paced, fists clenched, wondering if their kiss had been a cruel joke or just cowardice in disguise. At home, his mom, Maria, sensed the turmoil. "Talk to me, Ben. You've been like a ghost." Over reheated tacos, he spilled it all, the kiss, the interruption, Grant's flip-flopping. Maria listened, her face softening with understanding. "I knew you were gay since you were little, watching those musicals obsessively." She smiled faintly. "But Grant's family, they're different, strict. Be careful. Okay?" Ben nodded, but caution felt like surrender. He wanted to fight for what they had, but Grant's actions screamed retreat. The next day at school, he avoided Grant entirely, eating lunch in the art room. His drawings turned darker, figures torn between light and shadow, mirroring his inner chaos. Grant, meanwhile, drowned in guilt. His father's praise for staying on the right path felt hollow. During family dinner, the conversation turned to the upcoming church retreat. "It'll be good for you, son," Reverend Thompson said. "Clear your head of any distractions." Grant forced a smile, but Mia watched him closely, her earlier suspicion growing. Later that night, Mia confronted him in the hallway. "I saw you with Ben at the barbecue. Are you two together?" Grant's blood ran cold. "What? No, that's crazy." But his denial was weak, and Mia's eyes narrowed. "If you are, Dad will kill you." She paused, then added softly, "But I wouldn't care. You're my brother." Her words cracked something in Grant. For the first time, he considered coming out, to his sister at least. But fear won again. "Just drop it, Mia." He retreated to his room, texting Ben, "We need to talk. For real this time." They met after school at the old playground where they'd played as kids. Swings creaked in the wind as Grant arrived, looking haggard. "I'm sorry about the gym. I panicked." Ben crossed his arms. "You always panic. When are you going to choose, Grant? Us or them?" "It's not that simple," Grant protested. "My dad, he'd disown me. The church, the team, everything." Ben's eyes flashed. "And what about me? Am I just disposable?" The argument escalated, voices rising. Grant grabbed Ben's arm. "I love you, okay? That's why it's so hard." The confession hung there, raw and real. Ben softened, pulling Grant into a hug. I love you too, but we can't keep doing this halfway. They sat on the swings, talking for hours, about fears, dreams, the weight of expectations. For a moment it felt possible. But reality intruded. Grant's phone buzzed with a message from his father. Where are you? Youth group starts in 10. He sighed, standing. I have to go. Ben nodded, but disappointment etched his face. The retreat that weekend was torture. Surrounded by peers chanting about purity and righteousness, Grant felt like an imposter. One session focused on resisting unnatural urges. The leader quoting Bible verses that twisted like knives. Grant zoned out, thinking of Ben's touch, wondering if God really cared who he loved. Back home, tension simmered. Mia, unable to keep quiet, mentioned the rumors to their mother in a hushed conversation. Mrs. Thompson dismissed it at first, but doubt lingered. She pulled Grant aside. Is there something you need to tell us? Grant shook his head vehemently. No, Mom. It's just gossip. But the lie ate at him. He snuck out that night to Ben's house, climbing the trellis to his window like in old movies. Ben let him in surprised. What are you doing here? Grant pulled him close. I couldn't stay away. They talked until dawn, sharing stories of their struggles. Grant's repressed upbringing, Ben's fear of rejection. It was cathartic, strengthening their bond. Yet, dawn brought consequences. Maria caught Grant leaving, her expression a mix of concern and anger. Ben's my son. If you're not serious, leave him alone. Grant promised he was, but doubt crept in. Was he ready for the fallout? At school, the rumors peaked. A teammate confronted Grant in the locker room. Dude, you and Ramirez? That's messed up. Grant denied it, but weakly. The guy shoved him. Figure it out, or you're off the team. The threat loomed, forcing Grant to weigh his options. In a desperate move, he suggested to Ben they keep things secret longer. Just until college. We can be together without everyone knowing. Ben agreed reluctantly, but resentment brewed. How long could they hide? The breaking point came at a school dance. Grant went with a girl from class as cover, while Ben attended alone. Seeing Grant dance with her, laughing fakely, Ben's heart shattered. He left early, texting, "This isn't working." Grant chased after him, finding Ben in the parking lot. "Don't do this." Ben turned, tears streaming. "You're ashamed of me, of us." The confrontation was brutal, accusations flying. Grant admitted his fears, but Ben pushed back. Love shouldn't cost this much pain. They parted angry, the rift widening. Grant returned home to find his parents waiting. Mia had spilled everything, unable to watch her brother suffer in silence. "Is it true?" Reverend Thompson demanded. Grant froze, the moment of truth arriving sooner than expected. "Yes," he whispered. The room erupted shouts, tears. "Please." His father stormed out, his mother sobbed. Mia hugged him, whispering support. That night, alone in his room, Grant realized the price of honesty. Potential loss of family, but gain of self. But was it worth it without Ben? Reverend Thompson's face was thunderous as he paced the living room, Bible in hand. "This is not who you are, Grantander. It's a choice, a sinful one." Grant sat on the couch, head bowed, the weight of his confession crushing him. His mother wept quietly, while Mia hovered in the doorway, regretting her role in the exposure. The argument dragged on for hours. "We've raised you better," his father insisted. "Think of the church, our reputation." Grant finally looked up. "What about me? My happiness?" The words ignited fresh fury. "Happiness? This is perversion." Reverend Thompson quoted scriptures, each verse a blow. Exhausted, Grant retreated to his room. Texts from Ben went unanswered. He needed space to process. The next day, school was hell. Whispers turned to outright taunts. "Fag!" someone muttered in the hall. Grant ignored it, but inside, shame boiled with anger. Ben faced his own battles. His mom was supportive, but extended family wasn't. An uncle called, ranting about disgrace to the Ramirez name. Ben hung up, but the words lingered. At school, he found solace in the art club, where a few accepting friends offered shoulders to lean on. Grant's family imposed rules. No contact with Ben, mandatory counseling with a church therapist. The sessions were biased, pushing conversion techniques that made Grant feel broken. "You can change," the counselor said. Grant nodded outwardly, but rebelled inwardly. One afternoon, defying orders, he met Ben at a coffee shop outside town. "My family's imploding," Grant said, voice trembling. Ben reached for his hand. "Mine too, in a way. But I'm not hiding anymore." They shared a tentative kiss, hidden in a booth, but paranoia set in. "What if someone sees?" Ben pulled back. "That's the problem. You're still afraid." The meeting ended on a sour note, promises frayed. Back home, the pressure mounted. Reverend Thompson announced a family intervention, inviting church elders. They prayed over Grant, hands on his shoulders, begging God to heal him. It felt violating an erasure of his identity. Mia protested, "This is wrong," but was sent to her room. Grant endured, but resentment grew. He researched online, finding stories of others like him, gay kids disowned, but also those who thrived. It sparked hope, but also fear of homelessness if things escalated. At school, a bully targeted Ben, shoving him against lockers. "Stay away from Thompson, freak." Grant witnessed it, frozen. Intervening meant outing himself fully. He walked away, guilt gnawing. Ben confronted him later. "You saw and did nothing?" Grant apologized, but excuses rang hollow. "I'm trying," he said. Ben shook his head. "Trying isn't enough when it hurts me." The divide deepened. Grant threw himself into soccer, using games to escape. But during a match, a teammate outed him mid-play, yelling slurs. The coach pulled him, "Sort your shit out." Humiliated, Grant quit the team. His father saw it as divine intervention. "See? Consequences." But Grant snapped back for the first time.
No, Dad.
"This is because of hate like yours." The words hung a declaration of war. Family dinners became battlegrounds. Mrs. Thompson mediated, torn between love for her son and loyalty to her husband. "Maybe we can find a compromise," she suggested, but Reverend Thompson was unyielding. "He chooses us or that lifestyle." Mia became Grant's ally, sneaking him articles on LGBTQ+ rights. "You're not alone," she said, grateful. Grant hugged her, realizing family bonds could shift. Ben, meanwhile, joined a support group at a nearby community center. Hearing others' stories empowered him. He came out to more friends, finding acceptance amid rejection. One evening, Grant attended secretly, spotting Ben. They talked afterward, tensions easing. "I miss you," Grant admitted.
Ben nodded.
"Me too. But we need to be strong separately first." Their reconciliation was short-lived. A church member spotted them, reporting back to Reverend Thompson. Fury ensued. "You're defying God," he shouted, grounding Grant indefinitely. In desperation, Grant considered running away. But where? Ben's place was too risky. The moral dilemma weighed. Obey family or follow heart? The climax built at a town hall meeting on family values, where Reverend Thompson spoke against corrupting influences. Grant sat in the audience, heart pounding. When Q&A opened, he stood. "What if your own son is gay?" The room gasped. His father stared, shocked. "Sit down, Grant." But Grant continued. "Would you love him less?" The question hung, exposing the hypocrisy. Chaos followed, murmurs, arguments. Reverend Thompson dragged Grant out, face red. "You've humiliated us." At home, the fallout was severe. "Pack your things," his father said. "If you choose this, you're out." Grant's mother begged, "Don't do this." But the ultimatum stood. Tears streaming, Grant grabbed a bag. Mia cried, hugging him goodbye. As he left, the door slammed, echoing the fracture. He showed up at Ben's door, broken. "They kicked me out." Ben pulled him in, holding him tight. But even in comfort, doubt lingered. Was love worth this destruction? Ben's arms around Grant felt like sanctuary, but the reality of homelessness loomed. Maria welcomed him temporarily, her face etched with worry. "You boys need a plan," she said over coffee. Grant nodded, gratitude mixing with shame. "I never thought it had come to this." The next days were a blur of job searches and hushed conversations. Grant applied for fast food gigs, anything to contribute. Ben supported him, but strain showed. "Your family's reach is long," Ben noted. Indeed, Reverend Thompson called Maria pleading and threatening. "Send him home or face consequences." Maria stood firm. "He's safe here." But whispers at her job started, gossip from churchgoers. Customers avoided her section. Tips dwindled. Grant felt responsible. "Maybe I should go back, apologize." Ben shook his head. "And lie again?"
No.
The debate raged, moral lines blurring. Was staying true worth hurting others? At school, isolation deepened. Friends distanced, fearing association. One former teammate approached Grant.
Sorry, man.
Didn't realize it was real. A small olive branch, but rare. Ben faced backlash too. His art teacher praised his work but warned of controversial themes. A piece depicting two shadowed figures embracing drew complaints from parents. The couple's time together was bittersweet. Stolen moments in Ben's room, talking dreams, college, a life away from Willow Creek. But fear tainted it. What if they cut me off financially? Grant worried. His mother called secretly. "Come home, Grant. Your father's cooling down." Tempted, Grant hesitated. Returning meant denying Ben, a betrayal too deep. He chose to stay, but the decision cost. Reverend Thompson froze his college fund, citing moral clauses. Dreams of university shattered. In retaliation, Grant posted online anonymously, sharing his story. It went viral locally, sparking debates. Support poured in, but hate too threats, slurs. Ben admired his bravery. "You're fighting back." But Grant doubted. At what price? The turning point came at a family gathering Ben's relatives hosted. An aunt confronted them. "This isn't right. Think of the children." Ben defended. "Love is love." The argument escalated, family splitting. Maria intervened. "Enough. Ben's my son, and Grant is welcome." But fractures appeared, relatives distancing. Grant's guilt peaked. "I'm tearing your family apart too." Ben reassured. "No, prejudice is." Yet doubt festered. In a moment of weakness, Grant met his father at a neutral park. "Can we fix this?" Reverend Thompson offered terms. "End it with Ben, seek therapy." For the family. Tempted by stability, Grant wavered. "I need time." Returning to Ben, he hid the meeting, a small betrayal breeding larger ones. Ben sensed something off. "What's wrong?" Grant lied. "Nothing." The deception gnawed. Weeks later, pressure boiled over. A church protest targeted the community center's LGBTQ+ group. Reverend Thompson led, signs blaring hate. Grant and Ben attended counter-protest. Seeing his father, Grant confronted. "This is me you're hating." Reverend Thompson faltered, but rallied. "I'm saving you." The clash turned physical, shoves, arrests. Grant got bruised. Ben arrested briefly for defending him. Released, Ben was furious. "Your dad did this." Grant defended weakly. "He's misguided." The argument exploded. "Choose, Grant. Him or me." In panic, Grant blurted, "Maybe we need a break." Ben's face shattered. "After everything?" He stormed out, leaving Grant alone with regret. Days blurred in isolation. Grant crashed on a friend's couch, jobless, directionless. Maria checked in, but Ben avoided him. Reflection hit hard. He'd traded authenticity for safety, betraying Ben in the process. Desperate, Grant wrote a letter to Ben. "I was wrong. I choose you. But would it be enough?" His mother reached out again. "Your father's reflecting. Come talk." Grant agreed, hoping for reconciliation. The meeting was tense. Reverend Thompson admitted, "I fear losing you." Grant pushed. Accept me as I am. A stalemate, but seeds planted. Returning to Ben, letter in hand, Grant knocked. Ben opened, wary. Why should I trust you? Grant poured out his soul. I've lost everything pretending. No more. They embraced, forgiveness tentative. But healing was slow. Trust rebuilt brick by brick, amid ongoing societal pushback. Grant found a job, applied for scholarships. Ben's art gained recognition in inclusive circles. Yet the damage lingered, strained families, scarred psyches. The price of love was steep, but so was the reward of truth. Months passed, and Willow Creek began to change, albeit slowly. Grant and Ben's story, amplified by local media after the protest, sparked conversations. Some church members left, seeking more inclusive faiths. Others doubled down. Reverend Thompson's sermons softened slightly, focusing on compassion over condemnation, though he never fully accepted. Grant moved into a small apartment with Ben, funded by part-time jobs and scholarships. College loomed, a fresh start in Chicago. We made it, Ben said one evening as they unpacked boxes. Grant smiled, but shadows remained. At what cost? Family ties mended unevenly. Mrs. Thompson visited secretly, bringing home-cooked meals. I love you, no matter what. Mia texted daily, a staunch supporter. Reverend Thompson sent a curt birthday card, a tentative bridge. Ben's family stabilized too. Maria hosted dinners, including Grant. Relatives thawed, some apologizing. But scars ran deep. Grant battled anxiety, remnants of rejection. Therapy helped, unpacking years of internalized shame. Ben channeled pain into art, exhibiting pieces that challenged norms. Their relationship deepened, built on hard-won trust. Arguments arose, over finances, futures, but resolved with communication born from crisis. One night, at a pride event in the city, they held hands openly. Strangers cheered, but Grant tensed, old fears surfacing. Ben squeezed. We're free now. Freedom came with vigilance. Hate mail arrived sporadically, reminders of lingering prejudice. But support grew, friends, allies, a community they'd found. Grant reflected on choices. Hiding versus honesty, conformity versus courage. Each decision carried weight, rippling outward. Ben proposed a joint art project, a series depicting their journey. To help others, he said. Grant agreed, writing accompanying narratives. The exhibit opened to acclaim, drawing crowds. Reverend Thompson attended anonymously, leaving without a word. Later, a note. I'm trying to understand. It was progress, fragile but real. As they stood together, watching visitors react, Grant felt peace. The turmoil had forged them stronger. Yet questions lingered. Had they chosen right? Was the pain justified? In the end, love prevailed, but not without sacrifice. Was it right to prioritize personal truth over family harmony, even if it meant breaking bonds that might never fully heal?